Welcome back, folks. Welcome to Lot Talk powered by Lotpop. We have an amazing guest today. I'm so excited. The last couple of weeks, we called your baby ugly. The last couple of weeks, we said, hey, you got to put a little lipstick on the pig. You got to put a little perfume on her. We got to get this baby ready to go to prom. But we got a guest today, John. We got a guest today, Ronaldo. That's going to take everything we talked about over the last couple of weeks and put a bow on it. I can't wait to bring him up. Jamil, he's like an amazing thought leader out there. There's no doubt.
Yep.
And we're talking about merchandising. We're talking about, in a sense, advertising. We're talking about the way that these dealers, I mean, John, you and I literally about had a stroke when we looked at that one Suburban that looked like an elephant that sneezed all across the back of it. Okay. I mean, it was awful. But when we think about the evolution of the way that we've advertised our vehicle, I mean, Ronaldo, when John first started selling cars, the way we was advertising was like carrier pigeon. Okay. John had to use
tried to tell you guys
this week's ads, and he couldn't write a big ad because the pigeons were only so strong to carry the messages.
You guys hammer on me. I tried to tell you it was not carrier pigeon, it was Pony Express. You guys just keep forgetting what it actually was when I started out in the business. So
listen, John, we're not trying to carbon date you, okay? We're not trying to carbon date you. We're just trying to paint the picture of the evolution here. Okay.
You cut into me. There's lots of rings, my friend. Lots of rings.
Oh, it's like going to the forest, man. I mean, Ronaldo, you got to slice them in half, count the rings, times it by 7, add 2, and divide it by 14.
We'd have it no other way, my man. No
elderly abuse. Elderly abuse.
Yeah. Oh, that's only if it gets reported. But no, I mean, John, if you think about that, I mean, think about how we used to write ads in the years past. Think about that.
Yeah. Remember the one-liners?
Oh gosh.
Cool.
Dude, I felt like I was the king of the one-liners, and I got in trouble at a Ford store I was working for because, we had Jeep Wranglers with the convertible top, and I headed the one-liner by "drop your tops," and I was doing stuff like that. I thought it was creative. The owner didn't think it was so creative at the time, but yeah.
Oh yeah, yes. And then you had that. You remember that period of time, and it wasn't too terribly long ago, when we saw that one. What was it? The push button start was the panty dropper.
What was that thing? Yeah, that was what it was.
It was the push button start. There's a photo of it called the panty dropper. I was just like, oh dear God, what is wrong?
My goodness.
I mean, you might as well say it's cleaner than a clap doctor and slicker than Diddy's floor. I mean, that's what you might as well say.
Easy. Brett just hit the floor in the back.
Cringe.
Brett just fainted
over there.
Brett just fainted.
Yeah. Hey, he put in the private chat between all of it. Says stop in all big letters.
Yeah, times have changed.
There's some editing there.
Yeah. He's not going to edit that one. But no, the times have changed, and
yes.
Really and truly, the way that this content gets rolled out. I mean, it does take guys like Jamil to be able to make sure that this stuff gets moved out properly. And with that being said,
hey, hold on real quick before you bring Jamil on, because you were talking about the times changing, and I pulled up an article in online in anticipation of this, and it's I'll quote the company. It's from Podium, right? And so when you talk about times changing, I'll just read the 2 sentences. Only 8% of used car buyers rely strictly on salespeople at your dealership to make decisions. The other 92% are largely swayed by the information they find online.
Wow.
So when you talk about times changing, what a dramatic change that is, right? We didn't have that, right? Back when I started, right? Everybody relied on a salesperson, right? Only 8% now. You're talking about a massive change.
Well, hold on. Think about that change, because that change is even deeper than that, John. I mean, that change was even though you had to rely on the salesperson to give you information, that dealership to give you information, that TV had to give you information, that newspaper had to give you information. in those times, we also relied on Papal. Hey, Papal, where do we buy our cars at?
Right.
Okay. How many people, honest to God, really do that now? Google reviews is the Papal of today.
Hey, listen, and I want to get Jamil on word too, but here, we just talked about this last week and brought it up and showed proof of it, right? We talked about loyalty. Back in those days, it was about loyalty. If Papal brought a Chevrolet, everybody in the family bought a Chevrolet. Now that's not the case at all. There is, in my opinion, brand loyalty is a thing of the past. I mean, there's a little bit of it, but the percentages have shifted dramatically, right? And we see it in our software when you look at trades, right? You're notoriously for showing that to dealers, Chris, where you're looking at the trade-ins and guys trading a Wrangler on a Denali 3500, right? And so you see all this stuff. But yeah, man, that used to be a big thing. If Grandpa bought from Chevrolet or Ford or Toyota or whatever, everybody in the family took Grandpa's advice, and that's where they bought their cars at. So yeah,
100%. So John, with that being said, let's do this.
Yes,
let's take Jamil.
Let's bring him on. We're a bunch of numbskulls. Let's bring the expert up, man. Let's
bring the expert on. Let's bring him on. So, ladies and gentlemen that are listening to the podcast, for folks that are viewing the podcast, we are so thrilled. We have got Jamil, the CEO, the bad boy, the guy that actually makes things happen from J&L Marketing. Brett, I want you to share his logo as well. We got Jamil on stage with us. Jamil, thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, guys. Looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah. That's Jamil.
Great to have you, Jamil.
So
excited.
Jamil, you kind of was backstage listening to the antics, and we just have a lot of fun here, but let's dive into this. Okay, let's dive into it. I mean, again, you were so gracious to give our team a lot of time and a ton of nuggets. Then you were even more gracious to send out a lot of information to us so that we could be better partners with our dealers that are also a lot of your dealers as well with you guys' company. Do us a favor. Number one, I've told the world. Ronaldo's told the world. John's told the world. It's Jamil. I mean, one of the best thought provokers, one of the best thought leaders out there in this industry today. But if you would, tell us a little bit, tell our listeners, tell our viewers a little bit about J&L Marketing, what you guys service, kind of how you started, where you're at today. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Well, guys, the company I work at is J&L Marketing. I'm a business partner as well as the CEO. Company started in 1991, and it started as a direct mail company. And we did promotions for car dealerships back in 1991. We'd send out all the mailers and have a 1 or 2 day sale, and it was direct response. In high school, I started working in our print shop. We did so much volume of mail. We had a 35,000 square foot print shop. So I started working in our print shop. Well, when I graduated school, I wanted to have nothing to do with J&L. That was my high school job. And I actually went and worked for a large printing company called Standard Register, where we did the checks.
Oh, yeah.
Out of Ohio. And we did the checks. We did a lot of the industrial area. We did a lot of commercial. But I saw the evolution of print while I was at Standard Register. I mean, we started as a Fortune 1000 company and started to drop a little bit. I came to J&L in 2009. And right around 2011, 2012, I went to, at the time, our CEO and our founder and said, hey, I want to see J&L become a digital marketing agency. I think print's always going to have its place. I think it does a good job in terms of evoking a response, but I think digital marketing is really where the future is going. So we built out a team here at J&L Marketing that I spearhead and built out our digital marketing offerings. And today we have over 1,000 dealerships that trust us on a monthly basis doing their Google page search, their display advertising, their social media advertising, their OTT advertising. So we're very proud of that.
Man, that's freaking awesome. Thank you for giving us that for giving our listeners. I mean, we know who you are, and we absolutely positively, I mean, we lead in with you guys a ton, and the previous CEO, we lead in with him quite a bit because both you guys are just absolutely phenomenal. We'd be silly not to share his name, Scott Joseph. I mean, Scott has been a pioneer in a lot of different things, and we're very grateful for the partnership with J&L. Very grateful for the partnership with you, and definitely with Scott as well. Ronaldo, thinking back to the conversations that we had with our team when when Jamil came on, anything particular that stood out that, hey, we need to make sure that we get that shared with our listeners and our viewers?
Oh man, there's so many layers to it. But I guess the thing that was most impactful that really kind of got my attention and had everybody in the room sitting on the edge of their seat was just when you talked about how the advertising expenditures as a whole over the recent past, say maybe going back to 2015, 2016, how it's evolved in the way that dealers are allocating those spend dollars to get those messages out there. And, before we dive into, the tactics that we use and how we package that offering, but talk a little bit about all of the different venues or mediums that dealers can use in order to merchandise and advertise the vehicles that they have, and also the dealership as a whole.
Yeah, and I heard you guys backstage. You guys were talking, and one of the things you talked about is how the influence of online, not Papa, as you guys called it. So the average consumer searching about 19 hours, with the journeys about 3.5 months long. So you take that and you look at in 2016. The average dealership spent about $45,000 in marketing. And back then it was only 30% of their advertising dollars was spent in the internet category. That covers your third-party listing sites, that covers your website, your SEO, and your paid traffic, right? Today, it accounts for over 72% of their actual marketing budget. And they're still spending about $45,000 a month. So it's huge. What you've seen with digital advertising go from even television advertising, going from linear television to now OTT and streaming, YouTube TV. That's where we've seen the significant growth.
Oh man.
Wow.
And that's another aspect of it. When we talked about going, from linear and then diving down where you can specifically target exactly where you want your information to go and which viewers or your target audience, being that granular and how you target that audience. That's something that's really fascinating. I'd like to hear you go into that a little more in depth.
Absolutely. The evolution of digital marketing has allowed us to get more targeted. So let's take running a video ad as an example. 10, 15 years ago, you would work with your NBC, your CBS, your ABC affiliate, and you'd buy spots, right? You'd buy it during primetime television, maybe during sporting, and then they'd give you maybe some stuff that's late at night. Nowadays, though, you can get very granular to, I want to target Chris King. Because the problem, if you're an automotive dealership and you're doing linear television, a lot of the people that you're talking to are people that would never be interested in buying a Chevrolet truck. They own a Honda, they own a Subaru. So a lot of your ad dollars are wasted. Where with online advertising, if you guys are watching YouTube TV and one of their commercials comes up, or you're watching Disney, what John sees and what Chris sees at that exact minute are two different ads. And that's what's made digital advertising so successful, is it's isolated down to the individual user.
Wow. Is that why I keep seeing those ads for Big Red Soda and Rib Shop down the street? I got to dig into that a little bit further.
That's why I keep seeing ads for bourbon.
Absolutely. Oh, man. And so when you think about that, Jamil, would a dealer be more, I guess, a little more prudent to look at how they're packaging their vehicles and putting together, merchandising? We talked about photos, we've talked about descriptions, but when we look at it from an advertising aspect, could you put together several different concepts around a certain, make or model that you'd want to deliver, because you're actually using a scalpel approach as opposed to a chainsaw. And so do you advise dealers to think about that in presenting a particular piece of merchandise in a couple of different lenses, so to speak?
Spot on. I mean, at the core, an average dealership has over $500,000 marketing budget every year. $500,000. In corporate America, they would have designated people with that type of budget.
Mm-hmm.
But I always tell a lot of dealerships, they'll have a budget, but they don't have a marketing plan. So they know what vendor they're sending that money out to. They're sending it out to Car Gurus, cars.com. They're sending it to this advertising agency, but they don't really know where that money is going in terms of their profit center. How much of that money is going to new? New by model, how much of that money's going? How much of it's going to used? How much of it's going to used that's over 30 days on your lot? How much of it is going to fixed? How much of it is going to general ads? And that's where the challenge with a lot of dealerships is. They know that a lot of their advertising is not working, but they don't know what to cut, is because they never go to that granularity.
Right. So they need to take a little more of a Doge approach to their budget and dig into it, kind of figure out what's going on.
Correct. I mean, let's take a look at digital marketing as an example. A lot of the dealers that are probably listening to this, I'm sure, do paid search. I'm sure they do social media. I'm sure they do display advertising. And if I say, where's your money going? They're probably going to say, well, Jamil, I spend $6,000 in search. I spend $3,000 in social. I spend $2,000 in display. And then I say, well, great. You told me the channel, but how much of that is going for the Hyundai Sonata? How much of that is going to the Hyundai Palisade? And they'll have no idea. They'll have no idea because the agency never goes to that granularity. So these are questions as a dealer that you should be asking to say, I don't care about clicks. I don't care about impressions, right? Tell me where my money is going and how many leads did I get off of each one of those profit centers?
Oh, that's strong. So you just spoke, Jamil, to the dealer principal, to a general manager, to the marketing person that may be listening in on this call. So let's take this to the boots on the ground for a minute, because some of our listeners, some of our viewers, they're sales reps, they're BDC reps. If you were going to give any piece of advice to an individual that is more on the front lines dealing with the leads that are coming in, but they want to be outside the box, they want to maybe even piggyback what the dealer is doing, but on their private social media pages, okay? What piece of advice would you give to a salesperson or a BD rep that may be listening to this on how to leverage that digital marketing from a more of a micro level from where they're at?
Yep. So we'll go with technical and tactical. So first and foremost, one of the best places to get leads if you're an individual sales rep is Facebook Marketplace. Taking the pictures of the exact cars on your lot, you only need 3 or 4 of them, posting that on Marketplace, and having people directly reach out to you. It's free. It's a no-brainer, right? It takes you maybe 5 minutes a car, where sometimes you already have the pictures of the cars that you can use. You load them in there, you put the inventory on there, and now the leads come to you directly, right? So that's number one. Number 2 is, what does your personal brand look like? When I decide to buy a Honda Accord, I want to speak to an expert. And do you pose yourself as that expert, that person that says, hey, I know you're in the market for Honda. Oh, call my buddy Chris, call my buddy Jerry, right? Call my buddy John. So pushing out content on social media that makes you that expert. A lot of customers, they spend the 19 hours online because they don't see that the guy at the dealership is the expert. That's why they do all the research, and they're making the decisions beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Also, know your competition. It takes you 10 minutes a day to go on your competitors' websites. So when somebody's calling you up and they're saying, the Palisade, can you do any better than that? You can quickly say, hey, I know the Palisade's an expensive vehicle, but in a 20-mile radius at all the other Hyundai stores, we're the lowest by $700. So know your product, know your pricing, know your competition, and utilize video. When customers say, what's the condition of that used vehicle? What does that look like? Go out and take a video, send it to them, show them that you're personally invested. These are strategies that take 5 to 8 minutes. That's going to help you sell substantially more cars.
Okay, follow up to that. You talked about Facebook Marketplace, but now I'm going to think about the generationally differences of audience that Facebook Marketplace speaks to. We're now into, I can't remember what's after Gen Z. I think was it Gen Y or what have you, that next group of buyers that have now hit the market. Well, that's also a different group of social media intake. Okay, maybe it's not the Facebook, maybe it's the Snapchat, maybe it's the YouTube Shorts, maybe it's the TikTok. Okay, is there any difference in the way that an individual would go advertise on Snapchat versus YouTube Short versus TikTok?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to know your platform. So Marketplace is going to catch those low funnel leads, right? So when people are looking for a used car in particular, they're going to go to Google and they're going to search for it. So they're going to see shopping ads and organic and paid ads. They're going to go to third-party listing sites, correct? And then they're going to go to social media, i.e. Facebook Marketplace, and they're going to search for that. So that's going to capture a low funnel lead, right? But when you're developing your personal brand as a sales associate or somebody at a dealership, you want to utilize the platform. So if you're using TikTok, how are you going to use humor in your videos to make them first party? If you're doing YouTube, how can you be more educational in your content, right? You get the new Santa Fe on your dealership lot. How can you do a quick 30-second to 1.5 minute video showing the new Santa Fe that presents you as the expert? You can use that content as well to send it out to your clients via the CRM. And then, of course, we talked about Marketplace. So knowing your platform and the type of content that you should be putting on there is going to pay you dividends in the long run.
Oh, that's good. I see John over there. Hey, y'all look at John. He is writing.
Hey, let me tell you something. You guys watch enough of these podcasts. You don't see me wielding a pen that often, man. But listen, Jamil's hitting. When I'm talking to dealers, man, this is where I'm spending a lot of time talking to them at, because I truly believe, look, this is a huge difference maker right now. I mean, look, what we've always done as dealers is when a car's not selling, we change the price, right? And that's what shrinks this. That's what gets us this margin compression that no dealer likes that, right? And so everything that Jamil's talking about are areas that we can do rather than what we've always done, and that is cars not selling, let's change the price, right? And so anytime somebody's bringing it like Jamil is, I'm taking notes because I want to share that, right? Jamil, let me ask you a question, because having been a general manager, I know one of the things that used to drive me crazy is after a customer would show up in our showroom and purchase a vehicle, I really wanted to track, okay, what brought you in here? And I tried, we tried all kinds of things, right? And the last thing we did was we just put a bunch of different logos of the different marketing that we were using, and just had to ask the customer, hey, listen, what what brought you in and circle the logo. Well, then when we did that, we found they ended up circling like 3 or 4 logos. And so I had to even define that more and go, no, what got you up off the couch and made you make a move to the store, right? So the reason why I bring that up is one of the things you mentioned with what's going on now, which I love. One, I noticed that, it used to be said that 14 to 16 hours were spent online. Now that time has gone up. So that gives you a little indication about the consumer and how seriously they take it, and exactly what you said, right? We feel like that we have to rely on ourselves because we're not confident in relying on those individuals at the store level, right? And then 3.5 months long really caught my attention, right? We're in that process for a long period of time. So when you start talking, Chris, when you brought up marketing yourself as an individual, right? How important is that when we're going 3.5 months long, right? As we're on average, when we're searching out a car, being able to market myself and keep myself in front. And then lastly, visiting one dealership. So with that in mind, Jamil, I'm convinced, because I've heard that multiple times, that data, I'm convinced that when a customer shows up on your doorstep, they're there to buy the car. They're absolutely there to buy the car. That's why we do all this research and then we visit 1 or 1.5 dealerships, right? And so if I'm a GM or a dealer nowadays, with all the things you mentioned and the availability, especially with what your company does, do I have the ability now to really track a direct line of what brought that customer into my showroom? Is there a good tracking system now with the digital media out there that I can say, yes, this is who brought that customer to me?
Actual store traffic. You can do store visits in Google as an example. You can do offline conversion tracking in Meta. But it's a little bit of a challenge, and it is a little bit of a challenge to get really good metrics that are 100% accurate. But what you can do is you can look at what's funneling the leads in, what's funneling the phone calls in. Hopefully everyone's using a good call tracking vendor that utilizes call tracking number by source median. Or number 2 is who the form completions are coming from, right? So that tracking is done very easily. But let's start at the base level. A lot of dealerships that will reach out to me, they'll say, hey, my marketing agency isn't doing what they're supposed to do. And obviously I'll ask them those questions. Where's your money going? And they typically don't know. But before we even get there, I go on their website and they don't even have pictures posted for vehicles that have been on the lot for 15 to 20 to 25 days. It's very hard in a digital age to do advertising to a vehicle with stock images. And let's not even talk about used vehicles. The one thing they're looking at is pictures, right?
Right.
So why spend $15,000 to $20,000 with an agency like mine if we haven't done the blocking and tackling first of having the pictures posted in a timely manner and having pricing ready and available for the consumers? The average dealership has over 5,000 people go on their website every month. 5,000. So not having pictures on your website is essentially like you guys having dirty cars and throwing them in the back of your lot and a customer never driving by and seeing them. So like there's certain things that are no-nos, and then shopping the competition, which we talked about earlier.
Right. Preach, man. Hey, Chris, Ronaldo, my goodness, right?
I'm about to get the organ. I'm about to get the organ going.
Crank it up.
Hey, listen, I inherited a store one time that they sold new cars based on overappraising used cars, and all those cars were stuck, just like you're talking about, Jamil. All those used cars were stuck at the back of the store. Nobody, right? That's a whole nother topic for another time. One other question for you. When you talked about, and Chris asked you, what, as a salesperson individually, what can I do, right, to help not only improve my brand personally, right, but also let people know what I have available. Talk to me a little bit about your feelings on video when it comes to that.
Video is the future, guys. Let's take my agency as a perspective, right? Currently, right now, in a paid media, about 50% of a dealership's budget budget that comes to me between paid search, display, demand gen, social media, and video is going to paid search. But 5 years from now, I think it will be 20%. And here's why. Currently, right now, ChatGPT, Gemini, and these types of systems and this AI platforms are going to replace Google paid search. So text ads are going to become less and less relevant. If I want information on a 2027 Honda Accord, I'm going to go to Gemini. I'm going to go to ChatGPT. I'm going to go to X to get that information. So where advertisers and businesses should be moving is video. We've built out a huge video production department here at J&L. So you need a good mix of first party video. So that would be me holding my camera and doing some first shooter stuff. And then some good video production, because that's how you can tell a story. You can't do it in text ads. You can't do it in display ads. You have to be able to story tell, and video is the best way to do that.
Okay, so
that's excellent. And it's interesting you say that, Jamil. Is Chris and I did some research recently because our company was big about talking to dealers about in their description the use of meta tagging, right? In words, right? And even you go in, we do this a lot. We'll go on to Google Trends and we'll look at search terms, right? But we started to notice that it's more important now to have that story, right? And so we started looking at some of the bigger players out there and what they're doing on their website, and it's really straight and to the point. But the reason why I wanted to ask you about the video is because I'm still seeing that we just haven't seemed to catch up to me. That's a number one medium. If I'm sitting online, I look for that myself, right? I'm a customer
Correct.
now. I no longer run dealerships, and I'm trying to build this experience in my head. And if I'm gonna look at photos versus a video, that video is going to help me build that experience much faster than looking at a bunch of photos and trying to knit those together. So thank you for that. That's awesome. So
no, John,
great stuff.
You're spot on. Think about your social media. I don't care if you're on Facebook. I don't care if you're on X or you're on Instagram. When you scroll through, the majority of the ads now are video. But for whatever reason, the automotive industry has been very slow to adapt to that. Yeah. And a lot of the ads are all static ads, and video is what sells.
Mm-hmm.
So let's Jamil, let me ask a question though. Because we talk about that. Let's get the photos up. Let's make sure the cars look right. Let's make sure they're, you got the exterior, then all of a sudden let's get right to the interior of it, because that's where the feature advantage benefit are. That's where customers spending 90+% of their time with their vehicles on the inside, not the outside. Mm-hmm. But it's still auto dealers. And I made this reference a few weeks back that in the old school days when we had phone books, we had attorneys and auto dealers, and it's no coincidence that they were next to each other in the phone book. They're the two most hated professions out there. Okay.
Yes.
But if we think about this for a minute, I don't disagree that video is not the future, it's the now. Mm-hmm. Okay. But there are still pathways, in my opinion, that lead to the video that a consumer, like you talked about doing the 19 hours with the research, if they see the photo, then when you throw brand loyalty not being brand loyalty in there anymore, a Honda customer looking at a Mitsu person looking at a Buick person looking at a Ford, the brand loyalty is not even in there anymore. So they see the picture, and then they see the featured or the hot features on it. Mm-hmm. And then now we get to the description. Do customers sit there and look at the picture going, okay, does it have what I'm looking for? Hey, that thing I'm looking at, is that what I'm looking for? Okay, now let me take a look at a video of it. But before they do that, when you look at these custom comments, there's a lot of spinning plates out there and a lot of subjective opinions out there that taking and putting very descriptive custom comments with keywords in there, that's the way to go. Utilizing ChatGPT to write your comments, that's the way to go. Or don't utilize custom comments. Don't write out these big, long, beautiful stories. Don't use the ChatGPT, and simply put in there, it's got CarPlay or Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, etc. Hit the facts, show me the facts, nothing but the facts. What's the right answer?
Well, the right answer is to market to the consumer in the way they want to be purchased. So let's take handling of a lead, right? What do we teach the salesperson or the BDC agent when a lead comes in? What are we trying to do?
Well, okay,
Respond.
Huh?
Respond.
Respond number one. But what's the goal of, like, how are they measured? What are they pushing the consumer for after the first minute or two?
Engagement,
An appointment.
Set an
Right?
appointment.
So,
Set
but
an
we also-
appointment. Right.
Hey, when can you come in? We'd like to blah, blah, blah. Most consumers, they avoid coming to the dealership. So within
thank you.
100%.
the first minute or two of the conversation, hey, I'm just calling because I want to get some information, right? And
Right.
you're already coming into my stigmatism, which is I don't want to pick up the phone and call this dealership because they're going to harass me the first minute or two that I need to come in, correct?
Yep.
But we train our BDC and our salesperson when the lead comes in, how quickly can we set an appointment and get them to come in? But instead, if we truly want to brand ourselves differently, how do we handle that lead? How do we make the process easier for the consumer? A lot of times they're just wanting information. I mean, when I call dealerships up, because I'm a guy that buys a new car every 4 to 5 months, and every salesperson, I'll ask questions about the car, and the sales rep are like, I'd have to go look for that car, right? Or I'm not really sure what the condition is. If you'd like to come in, I can set up a time and we'll have it out front for you so we can go ahead and do it. And I'm like, but that's why I'm picking up the phone to call you. Why can't you go out, take a video of it, walk me through it? Because the more you do for me before I actually do work and come and drive to you, the more inclined I am to say, hey, this guy deserves my business.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
And we talked about that a couple
Thank
weeks
you
ago.
so much for saying that.
Yeah, because I honestly believe that if you provide the experience that customers are seeking, it makes everybody's process a little bit easier. And you have that what do we say, 3 months is going to be that shopping, that period of time that they're going to take gathering information. You can shorten that vastly just by providing them the answers to the questions that they're asking and just making it an easy experience rather than hammering them and saying, can you come down at 2:15 or is 3:45 going to work best for you?
Correct.
And it boggles me. One of the things that really it kind of blew my mind with some numbers that you provided for us when you were with us earlier was the fact that 95% of video marketers said that video helped them increase their brand awareness. And in the macro, that's great for dealerships. But I love the fact that you are driving that home for an individual salesperson or a BDC agent to think about themselves as a brand or projecting a brand to potential customers out in the marketplace. And I had a conversation with a young man this morning, newbie in the business. He's been on the job for 2 weeks, and the basics, when you pointed out, create a brand for yourself, check your competition, know your product.
Yes.
I mean, first 3 things that they taught me when I first walked in the dealership and started working. So the basics are the same, just the mediums that we use and the technology we have at our fingertips to be able to kind of get a little more bang for our buck, so to speak.
Be the expert.
Be the expert.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, Jamil, we've all are in agreement here, and we preach this when we consult with dealers all the time. Obviously, you just talked about it when you first start talking to a dealer that may be a new client of yours, or maybe just a dealer that calls and wants your opinion and to keep their at agency honest, whatever the case may be. But one of the things you talked about is you get online, or you jump online, you look, and you're like, man, they got 30 cars here with no photos on them and things of that nature. So we all agree that photos are obviously important, and time to get those photos to the market is extremely important. We all agree that, pricing competitively and know your competitors' pricing and whatnot, that's important. Okay. The thing that this industry cannot agree upon, and I want your opinion on this, and if you have facts to back it, I'd rather have that. Is it advantageous for a dealer to either use a chat GPT or some type of description service, if you will, and put this really long description out there? Or is it more important? Is it more important just to get the basics of it out there and then have video about that vehicle? You tell us.
Yeah, so I think ChatGPT is an amazing avenue for people to use to help them with content creation. And it's a good starting point. Do you guys use ChatGPT at all, Gemini?
Here and there.
A little bit?
A little bit.
A little
bit.
It can, guys, it can help out a lot in terms of email copy, direct mail copy. It can help with the vehicle descriptions. It can help with content suggestions for social media. The problem is if you're just copy and paste what they're saying and you're not personalizing it to yourself, that's where you run into major issues. So we use it at J&L all the time. We use it for keyword research. We use it for headline creation. We use it for email creation. We use it for ideas for subject lines for emails. But we take it and we individualize it and make it ourselves. So instead of starting with that blank piece of paper, it allows you to start where you're 50% of the way there.
Okay. So I don't know about you, John. I don't know about you, Ronaldo, but that answered a huge question for me.
Absolutely.
The whole long story, short story shit, John, what do they call it? I forget what they call those different ones that we were discussing when it comes to the comments. Regardless, what it comes down to is it's really not about having these extremely elaborate stories in there as much as it is, hey, what is the vehicle? Personalize it to my store in my market with my people, to my identity, to my brand, not my brand as a blue oval or as a bow tie or a sombrero, but to my brand as XYZ dealership. I think that's probably more important than anything else. Did I hear that right, Jamil?
Yeah, correct. And think about it too. You could write an email and it could proof your email. It could add commas, maybe helping you with misspellings. It can help you. If you're a general manager, it can help you. You can upload your financial statement in there and it'll analyze it as if it's a CFO looking at it. There's a lot of applications that you can use AI, but you need to be smart with how you use AI.
Yeah. I mean, that alone right there just is worth probably more than half of the maybe advice that we've given out there. But I mean, just applying it in a fashion that is obviously makes more sense. I want to speak, or Jamil, I want you to speak more toward, again, that individual, that's on the call, or excuse me, that's listening or tuning in or watching this right now. I want to come back to that branding, that personalizing, taking, for example, Ronaldo talking about that guy that's been in the business 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 minutes, just got in the business. And even the guy that has been in the business for 35 years at the same dealership, selling the same 18 cars a month that he's been selling for the last 25 years. Okay. Mm-hmm. Talk to the masses here again about that personalized branding. If you walked into a dealership tomorrow as Jamil, you were no longer the CEO of J&L Marketing, and you had to go work at a car dealership tomorrow, mm-hmm. to start building your brand. Are we talking about Jamil as a human and as a person? Or are we talking about Jamil as an industry expert? you may not know anything about Ford pickup trucks, and now you're going to work at a Ford dealership. I mean, where would you start? How would you start? What would you do?
First thing I'd do is I'd build up myself as the expert. I want to be known as the person that if you're in the market for a Ford, that I am the person that knows the most about the Fords, that can walk you through the models in a non-pressure situation, be able to educate and educate you. So that way you're talking to me at month one, not month 3.5. Correct? And
Oh,
you can do that through social media. You can do that with video. There's a lot of great people out there at dealerships that are doing it right now. Correct? I remember during COVID, dealerships, they didn't have to worry about pictures because cars were being pre-sold 6 months in advance, right? Salespeople didn't have to worry about being good at following up or anything like that because the car was going to sell anyways in a couple hours. But the one thing they all struggled with was acquisition. So it's all I heard every day on the phone. Acquisition. Oh yeah, buying cars off the street is too hard. I'm sure you guys heard that, correct?
I still hear it.
So one of my claim to fames during COVID is I went 2 months where all I did was at night while I was on my computer is I scoured Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace, and I reached out to people to buy their vehicles. And I bought over 45 cars in 60 days, just working about 3 hours a night during the months during COVID.
Wow.
And it was just reaching out to people during COVID, pretty much during a 3-hour window. Every night for 2 months, I bought 45 cars.
Wow. So that right there, Anderson, did you hear that right? Set yourself to the market as the expert. Period.
Correct.
I mean, it sounds so simplistic, Jamil, and I'm just like, got my head wrapped around it going, that's really easy. Why don't we do it? Why don't
Correct.
we do it? I mean, it drives me nuts.
Think about some of the things Jamil's just talked about. Honestly, I go back to what he was telling, him buying, he buys, 3 to 4 cars a year, right? And so he's a consumer, right? So it's one thing I've noticed that not being at a GM at a dealership anymore. I'm a consumer, Joe consumer out here, right? And I've talked about this before, but even buying cars, and he went through and bought those cars. What did you do, Jamil? Did you retell those to people? Retell them to dealers? What was your end game with the purchases?
Yeah, great question. So I have a good friend that owns a used car dealership. Yeah, good question. I have a good friend down in Nashville that owns a used car dealership. He gave me a subscription to Stockwave. So I had Stockwave on there and I wholesaled all the cars to him. We split the gross profit on the front end 50-50. Plus, he took the first like $500 to be able to retail it and take pictures on it. So bought 45 cars in less than 60 days.
That's fantastic. So here's my point. I just heard Jamil in the last 15 minutes bring up 2 areas. And what is he doing? Save it. Jamil, I know a little bit about you. We spent some time together at BB&C and know a little bit about you. And I know you to be a busy man, brother. You got your hand in a lot of things, and that's awesome, right? So if you're buying that car, right, if a salesperson, like you said, instead of in the first 3 minutes trying to set an appointment for you, they start asking you questions about what you're interested in, what your buying motives and hot buttons are. And then over the next 24 hours, they start texting you or sending you emails with answers to all those hot buttons and buying motives. They just give you how many hours back in your day that you would be doing that research yourself. How valuable is that to you? What did you just do for that dealer buddy of yours that you purchased those 45 cars? You allocated more time to him that he could put his time and effort and energy into other things. And I think that's an art form that is not talked about enough these days, man. Everybody has multiple things they're involved in. Everybody is doing so many things. And if we can just simply serve in a way that we're able to give that time back to those people, how valuable are we making ourselves you talk about being an industry expert, right? If I can give you time back and so that you can do your thing while I'm helping you with what you need help in, how much am I creating myself as an expert in that area?
You're 100% correct, John. I mean, the law of reciprocation is 100% true, especially on new car sales, right? I can buy a Honda Accord if I live in a decent sized city. That color, those options, that equipment, all that, I can buy it at 6 different places. So why you as a salesperson?
Right.
And the way you're going to differentiate yourselves from another salesperson is giving me my most valuable asset back, which is my time, and how you're going to make my
100%.
life easier.
100%. Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Oh my gosh.
I could go on, brother. This could be a 5-hour podcast, bro. This is one of these ones, Chris, that we need to do. We need to do lot talking bourbon with Jamil, man. We just enjoy a brown water and just talk for like 4 or 5 hours, right?
Hey, we got a new show already. It's After Hours with Jamil. Yeah, powered by Lotpop. I mean, After Hours with Jamil. I mean, it's Jamil, brother. You have honestly, like we said at the beginning of this, I mean, viewers, listeners, I hope you're dropping comments below. I hope you are more inquisitive here. I hope if you're a dealer principal or a general manager listening to this podcast, this is a shameless plug for our buddy Jamil. I don't care what ad agency you're using. I hope you pick up the phone and call Jamil, because the man is revolutionary. He is next level. He operates 3 to 4 to 5 steps ahead for you guys, for you dealers, for you GMs. I mean, Jamil, what you've brought today has been what we needed. We referenced it at the beginning of the call. We're going to put a bow on the merchandising. We talked about the photos beforehand. Yeah. We talked about the custom comments. Okay. That's all fine and dandy once you finally get those basic blocking and tackling things done, dealers. Okay. That's fine and dandy. Salespeople, sales managers listening to this call, don't sit there, bitch, moan, and complain because you ain't got no traffic. You are equally as empowered if you go on your website and you see a car doesn't have photos. That's your inventory that the dealer is giving you millions of dollars of inventory out there. And you heard Jamil talk about spending $500,000 or more a year in an advertising expense for a car not to be seen. You're empowered to sit there and raise your hand to the used car manager, to the GSM, to the GM, walk into the owner's office. Hey, we got these 12 cars here that there's no photos. They're on the front line. I see them there, but the world can't see them. You're empowered to do that. I hope you take the initiative. Dealers, I hope you call J&L. Salespeople, BDC, sales managers, I hope you call us to help move you to the next level. We've told you 1,000,000 times over. Call, text, email us. We will give you so much for free. So much. But you got to sit there and drop the comments. You got to pick up the phone. John, we've said it 1,000,000 times over. I can't stick the fork through the computer screen here and make you eat. Can't do it. You have got to take ownership of it.
Nope.
You have to.
Figured out a way yet. Haven't figured out a way yet. When we do, we're going to become multimillionaires when I can figure that out, man. If I can stick a fork through the phone and make somebody do something.
Yeah, most definitely.
Got to take action. Got to take massive action. And that's everything Jamil talked about today is massive action, right? We got to take action. Hey, this industry look, Chris, we look at everything in 15-day increments. This industry moves fast, right? So we no longer can sit around and wait on things to happen. We got to take action. If action creates action. And if we're not willing to take it, then we're going to get what we've always got, period.
Mm-hmm. Period. End of paragraph. So that being said, Jamil, on behalf of John Anderson, Ronaldo Leonard, our Lotpop family,
absolutely.
Okay, our listeners, our viewers, okay, we cannot thank you enough for the amount of wealth and knowledge that you have poured into this 1 hour. Like John said, we can do this for 5. We can do this for 6. We can do this for 10 hours. Okay.
Great stuff.
You have brought so much.
Great
We
stuff.
thank you. Thank you a ton.
Yeah.
And as always, Jamil, if there's anything we could ever do for you guys at J&L, never hesitate, brother. Pick up the phone. I mean, you and I talk pretty regularly, via text message or phone call. Man, don't be scared, brother. Pick up the phone, call us, ask us. We will help you in any way, shape, or form, because what you've just brought to these listeners and viewers today, you can't put a dollar figure on it. Can't put a dollar figure on it.
Great
Solid gold. Solid gold. Yes, indeed.
100%. So, Jamil, any closing thoughts for the viewers and listeners before we wrap up here?
No, I appreciate your all's time, man. Biggest thing is, if you run a dealership, know where your money's going. Ask the hard questions. Understand that these agencies, they work for you. You're not the expert, so it's expectation that they give the information the way that you want them. It's been a great conversation, guys. Really enjoyed it. Hope we get to do it again soon.
Thank you.
Jamil,
Good stuff.
Hey, brother, anytime you got something else that you want to share, just give me a jingle, brother. We'll put you on the show every and every time. There's no doubt about that.
Anytime, man.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. So, on behalf of our entire Lotpop family, on behalf of our co-hosts here, Mr. John Anderson, Mr. Ronaldo Leonard, myself, I'm Chris Keene. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And please, 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 please use the phone numbers, use the email, lottalkpodcast.com. Go to the website, follow us, share us, comment, reach out to us. We are here to help you. We thank you. We thank you. We thank you. And we wish you nothing but extreme success. Take care, guys.